We're both live? All right, guys. I'm just waiting a couple minutes for a few people to come in. While it's doing that, I'm going to share it on my personal Facebook page. So let's find it here. Where is it at? Anybody watching yet? Okay, guys. I just wanted to share something real quick, something that came to my mind all day today. I'm just making sure I share this on my personal page. I have both cameras on, Facebook Live and YouTube Live. So I'm trying to post it on my personal page. If I can just get to it. It's kind of hard juggling two phones at once and a tablet all at the same time. There it is. All right. So I'm going to share this. All right. Just wanted to talk about something that's been on my mind. It was just kind of going through my head all day today, and it's a trip. Have you ever watched a movie or you see something and it brings like a teaching to you? It teaches you things. And it's funny because my brother and I, we laugh because we'll watch movies and we'll get the gospel out of it. We'll get the gospel out of a story, out of a movie, out of different things. I'll see a plane go by and it'll show me something. And I remember one time I saw a sprinkler, and it was during the summer, and the sprinkler was in the middle of this place. I guess all the sprinklers were broken except that one, and I guess every night that sprinkler would go off on the grass there, and all the grass was dry except this like big circle around where the sprinkler was spraying every night. And even that, I remember seeing that, and I said, that's crazy, because the water represents life, and the closer the grass was to the sprinkler, the more alive the grass was. And I remember thinking back then, even this was years ago, thinking, man, that's an amazing sermon, because many times we want to get far from God, and yet we feel dry. And all we got to do is get closer to where the water is, to where the source of the water is at. And so like I said, just little things like that are sermons. And so this thought came to my mind of, I don't even remember what I called this video, because my cameras aren't facing me. Oh, organized church when done right. That's right. Organized church when done right. It made me think of this, right? Because I always hear, even myself, I always hear people say, man, organized church, it's corrupt, it's all these horrible things. And it made me think, because people say, well, it's got to go back to the book of Acts. It's got to go back to the book of Acts. And I started really thinking about that. And one thought that came to my mind, because I agree and I disagree. One thought is, we put God in a box as if God didn't see how the church was going to be in 2018. We put God in a box as if he wasn't smart enough to envision how the church was going to look like 100 years after him, 200 years after him, 500 years after him, 1,000 years after him, 2,000 years after him. We aren't giving God enough credit, as if he didn't know when he told Peter, on this rock I will build my church. Even in that statement, he says, I will build my church. And we understand that that's people, okay? We get it. And this is the point I want to get to, because people say, well, the church is not a building, it's people. And yeah, that's true. We are the church. But the other day, I grew up playing paintball. And you guys have seen my videos lately. It's something my brothers and I have done. I remember I was 17 years old. And I got my first paint gun. They weren't semi-automatic. They weren't automatic. It was just really simple little guns. And we'd go around and out in the ranch with my dad's, and we'd go around shooting each other. And I was 17. I was 17 years old. And as time progressed, I mean, we didn't play all the time, but we have played all of our lives. And because it was just me and my three brothers, we didn't organize it because it was just us, and we all lived out in a ranch. And when we wanted to play, I didn't have to plan it ahead, months ahead of time. We'd plan it on Friday. We'd be like, "Hey, what are you doing tomorrow?" "Nothing, nothing." "What are you doing?" "Nothing." "Let's go play some paintball." We didn't have an address where to go. We didn't have anything. We would just go and have fun and play. And but we would always, man, we would sit around after and we'd have a great time, and it would be us four. And we would think, how fun would it be to have 8 of us? Or how fun would it be to have 20 people playing? Man, that would be amazing. And we could build, these bunkers. We can do this, we can do that. And for years and years and years. And over the years, a few friends or family would play. And maybe it would, at the max, it would be 8 of us. For years, it was like that. Anyways, recently, a few months ago, my kids and Pastor Angel's kids have been wanting to play paintball. They heard the stories of how we used to play, and so we said, let's play paintball. And so then I started sharing it with some people from the church, and people said, man, I want to play paintball. I want to do it. And so then something interesting happened, because then we went out and played the way me and my brothers used to. And I think, how many showed up that first time when Eric first played? About 20 people? Mm-hmm. About 20 people went out. And we realized we hit some roadblocks. One was people were saying, where's the address? It was in the middle of the country. There is no address. People saying, what time? And before, when we grew up, we would just go whenever we went, and it was very disorganized. And it was like, man, this is what we always wanted, was to play with 20 people. Now there's 20 people, it's chaos. There was some safety issues. People accidentally shot some shots off. It could have been bad. I mean, a few feet got shot, but it could have been pointing up. It could have hit someone in the eye. It could have, a lot of things could have happened. So we had to rethink it and say, man, what are we going to do now? Because we had planned the next game, and the next game we had 32 people planning on playing. I'm like, man, it was a mess with 20 people. What's it going to be like with 32? I mean, how do we keep it fun? At the same time, how do we keep it safe? At the same time, how do we do this to where it could just work better? And that's what we've been struggling with a little bit in the last few months of the last few paintball games. And I don't mean this to talk about paintball. I'm talking about the gospel. But like I said in the beginning of this video, you get the gospel, or you get lessons or life lessons from everything around you. So this last time, the group was so big that where we usually played was really state land or county land. It didn't make a big deal when it was 4 of us. But how am I going to take 32 or 40 people out to land that is not ours and just park our cars and just have at it? I can't do that. We could get in trouble. So as the group grew, I had to realize that I had to find a place to play at. And I had and I finally found land, and I located land, and I found the owner of the land, and I talked with him about it, and we negotiated on how we're going to do it. And then he says, long as you have insurance, he goes, because, somebody gets hurt, and he's right. You got 30, 40 people out there in the middle of his land that he owns, and somebody gets hurt. He don't want to be liable. Can't blame the guy. So now this little fun thing that me and my brothers did is 32 people, and we all want to have fun, but now we got to look at the reality of getting insurance. And I was like, man, okay. So we crossed that hurdle, and in trying to make a game right, there had to be organization. for the safety of everyone. For instance, people had to have plugs at the end of their barrel so accidents wouldn't happen. We had to have rules of engagement because some people didn't know how to play. Some people never played before. We had to tell them, hey, you can't just go off shooting anywhere. It's a designated area. Some people's guns were shooting a velocity way too high that would have broke skin. Some people's guns, the velocity was too low, so we had to invest and get a chronograph to actually see and measure the speed, the feet per second of every paintball gun. We had to figure out if we had enough water. We had to figure out a time. I had to figure out an address for this place in the middle of the country. So now we have an address and we have insurance and we have these rules and these things to keep people safe. And and then I realized we still have the love of the game. It is still fun. But to make things run smoother for the 40 people that were coming, things had to change and become organized. Not because anybody wanted to get rich off of it. Not because anybody wanted to, like benefit. Nobody, yeah, none of us wanted to benefit from it. We just wanted to have a place where we can get together and play paintball for beginners, for families, for people that have been playing a long time. A fun place, a healthy place. And it took organization to do it. And then it hit me. What is so wrong if you have a building that fits 100 or 200 people in a church and you can't run it the way you do when it's just 4 of you in the living room worshiping? It can be done wrong because it could be done to your benefit. We play paintball out of fun. Nobody's trying to make money off of anybody. We do it because we like it and it's fun, and we just want it to be organized so people can have a great time. And so, in the same way, I realize what is wrong with having a church service that's organized. Perfect example. When it's 8 people or 4 people at a Bible study. Hey, who's going to make the coffee? You know what I mean? And somebody makes a pot of coffee, like a regular house, pot that holds 12 cups, and no problem. What happens when it's 80 people that want coffee? Who's paying for it? Who's making it? Who's cleaning up after that? Who's putting out 80 chairs? Who is saying what time or what address? It just goes on and on and on, and I think that I learned a lesson with organizing paintball games. It didn't change the heart of the love of the game, but it had to be approached differently because it wasn't just 4 people, four brothers just going around and running around shooting each other anymore. Because of the love of the paintball game, we wanted to tell more people about it so they could join us and they can have fun. And now it's grown to where like 40 people go out. Not everybody plays, but there's like 40 people, 45 people out there, some watching, some playing, because of the love of 4 brothers that had for the game. In the same way, the gospel. I get, 4 people in a living room. I understand it. But if the Great Commission is to go and reach the world, eventually you're going to outgrow your living room. Eventually, and I get it. You're like, well, then it should start another place or another place. And I'm like, no, what if I love these 20 people? What if I love them in my life? And what if 10 more people come and I love them and want them in my life? And I get people, raise up, and sometimes people move out to further the gospel. I get it, but when you do it with a pure heart, there still has to be organization. It's just a reality, and that's something I learned, and I just wanted to share my heart about it because it's just something that was going through my mind earlier. You know, I don't know if anybody has any questions before I log off. I'm gonna check on my well, maybe I can't tell, but oh, okay. He says I love paintball. All right. So I think that we approach it. I guess, you know, and obviously I'm saying these things and thinking these things because we changed. We were in a moment when we were going to basically not know where we were going to go as a church, and we find ourselves in this where God just blessed us and has us in a place where there's room to grow, and I've been thinking these things in my mind, you know, because somebody can have a mansion and have the right heart, and somebody can have a mansion and have the wrong heart. You know, somebody can be a millionaire and say, I don't need $1 million to live off of. You know, and the reason I say that is God has put us in a position to be in a building, for instance, that has more room to grow, classrooms for children, many things to have for youth. It has a kitchen. I mean, that is a huge blessing because, you know, there's many of the church that like to go out and feed people that are hungry and cold out in the city of Modesto. And the previous building, we didn't have a kitchen. And so the heart was there to do it, but it was so hard to do it. And now we're at a place where there's a kitchen there. You know, so I think that it's what you use it for. And it's the heart of the matter. And it's okay if it's not just 4 people in a living room. And if it is 4 people in a living room, that's okay too. But if you love that atmosphere, how could you not want to share and open the door for more people, is what I'm saying. Because, you know, when playing paintball, when it was just me and my 3 brothers, we would always talk and say, man, what would it be like if more people were interested? And I think the same way goes with the gospel, you know. So, but I just wanted to share that. I can't even turn around to stop the video, you know. But I just wanted to share that, guys. And if you didn't watch the whole video, after I post it, go ahead and watch it back and comment and tell me what you think. So, God bless you. I see Scott's watching, Richard, Brother Alfred, Brother Al, Sister Lisa, and I just want to say God bless you. Go ahead.